This is Lesson 4-2, Solving Addition and Subtraction Equations. Our learning target for today is I can use operations to solve one-step equations. The guiding question I want you to keep in mind is how can I get a variable alone in an addition or subtraction equation? Remember, we are using our properties of equality today to be able to solve the equations. You need to keep in mind the addition and subtraction properties of equality, as those are the two properties we will be using. Remember, with the addition property, you can add any number as long as you add it to both sides of the equation. Same thing with the subtraction property of equality. You can subtract anything as long as you subtract it from both sides. We're going to do a little bit of practice. The first problem we will do together. There are normally 30 students in a class, but tomorrow only 16 students attend math class. What equation can you write to show the number of students that are not here? Think about this problem as we go ahead and start asking ourselves some questions. So the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself, what do you already know about this problem? Well, in the first sentence, it tells us that there are normally 30 students in class. So we know that there are normally 30 students, and as we fill in the equation, 30 is going to be the total. That's normally what would be present in class. The first sentence goes on to tell us that tomorrow only 16 students attend math class. So your 16 students is going to be in your equation, and then we have to figure out what we want to know. We want to know the total number of students that are not here. So if we take the number of students not here and make that our variable x, add to it the 16 students that are present, then our answer will be 30 total students. So let's solve this equation. As we solve it, we need to remember to use the inverse of the operation to isolate the variable. Now, the inverse is another way of saying the opposite. So in this equation, we are using addition. The opposite of addition, or inverse of addition, would be subtraction. Keep in mind that we do have to have our balance from last lesson. So what we subtract from one side, we must subtract from the other side as well. That's the subtraction property of equality. So we're going to take our 16, use the inverse, and subtract 16 from the left-hand side. And we're also going to subtract 16 from the right-hand side. So x plus 16 minus 16 would just be x. And then 30 minus 16 would equal 14. So x equals 14. It's important to remember that checking your work is extremely important to make sure that this answer is correct. So when you go back to the original equation, x plus 16 equals 30, you can substitute 14 for the value of x to solve and see if the equation is balanced. 14 plus 16 would equal 30. 30 equals 30, so our answer is correct. Let's go ahead and let you give this other example a try on your own. Don't forget to check your work and make sure you are correct. X minus 19 equals 34. Now would be a really good time to pause the video, go ahead and do your work on your paper, and then come back and check to see if your answer is correct. Did you get x equals 53? That is the correct answer. But please make sure don't forget to check that work because that's how you know that you are on the right track. Now, another way that you're going to see these equations written is through an illustration. This illustration describes an equation where $120 is the total amount and 80 and D are the parts of the amount. So why don't you go ahead and give it a try and write an equation. There are a couple of different answers that would be acceptable here. One of those answers is 80 plus D equals 120. You could have also turned it around and said 120 minus 80 equals D, or 120 minus D equals 80. Either of those three equations would have been totally correct to describe this model. Thank you for tuning in. It is assignment time. Check your topic for menu for the choices that you have for this assignment. But as always, please make sure to check your answers on the checkout sheet when you finish. Figure out why you missed any questions you may have missed, and then see me for a quiz to make sure that you've mastered this assignment.